The National Hurricane Museum and Science Center was created as a platform to help Americans better prepare for and recover from storms, hopefully hurricanes in particular, and hopefully in doing so protect lives and property and help folks recover from these disasters.
What will it take to build this project?
Well, to build the project, it's about a $70 million capital project. So it will take about $70 million worth of capital funds. What also has to take place in the meantime is we need to continue to build out our coalitions, our networks around the country of academics, of intellectuals, of different stakeholder groups that are working with us on all of the programming that takes place really outside of the walls of this particular facility, but for which the center serves as kind of the central nervous system.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. I'm Mike Olivier with the Committee of 100. We, from time to time, as a group, we're a nonprofit group that's been operating since 1992. We've been focused on economic development and working the corners of economic development to support the regional economic development organizations in our state and our state economic development organization. When I was Secretary of Economic Development, the Committee of 100 approached me and we did several things together. Christelle, you remember you were part of that process. And I will tell you that this group is interested in projects that have worth. And I will tell you that this is a worthy project. That's why we asked you to be here. We extended our credibility to our group. And I want to introduce somebody that you know already, who is Gray Stream, who's a member of the Executive Committee of the Committee of 100. Gray?
If we can build enough of a critical mass, we really can put something together of enough value to continue kind of export that to the rest of the country. And that's the intent behind this. The National Hurricane Museum and Science Center, it's almost unfortunate that there has to even be a place. I mean, I hate to say that, but there does. There has to be a place. There has to be a facility that acts as a central nervous system for all of the synergy, the economic value, the intellectual value, everything that comes together when you can create sometimes I call it the clearinghouse for all the different resources that are out there, but each of whom may have a missing element or an inability to properly link and create additional value that can be distilled down into to really valuable math and education and science and technology programming, which is a critical component of this is the educational initiatives that we're working on. B, take some things that frankly are oftentimes highly technical and bring them out into, I would call it a retail marketplace, if you will, the citizenry that's really affected by this. And as it were, if we're going to have a place for this, there's the opportunity to leverage technology and our networks to impact and reach out to millions of people. But if we're going to have a place for this, we feel it should be in Louisiana, and we feel that it's the most appropriate place in the country, if not the world, right here along the I-10 corridor, right, frankly, at the geographic center of the Gulf of Mexico, and frankly, right at the epicenter of, as I said, unfortunately, some very significant natural disasters. And if it was going to be a place, we wanted it to be something that was really eye-catching, that was designed by some of the best design minds out there, that captured people's attention, captured their imagination, and frankly lived up to its reputation as a national facility by the design that everyone that comes in to Louisiana from our western state and comes over the western side of our state and comes over the I-10 bridge and really kind of gets their first vista, sees something that impresses them about the state of Louisiana. And besides, frankly, all of the things programmatically that we do through our network. So there's a reason that they intentionally cut me short so that Sully could really kind of just give you a synopsis of what it is we hope to do. There are folks here that we've had the benefit of partnering with already and working with. This is an opportunity to kind of give you an update. And then there are some people that I really appreciate the opportunity to introduce this to and develop a relationship with, because only through really a committed effort from everyone here in the state, and it's a national effort, but we have to earn it as Louisianians, we do. only through that strong combined effort are we going to be successful. So with that, I'd like to introduce Robert Sullivan, Sully. Sully and his partner, Maria Elena Gutierrez, are veterans of the Smithsonian Institute and are, frankly, have helped us with, have put us in front of just some of the most impressive folks out there in the country, in my opinion. You know, when I was seated at the table, surrounded by the head of formal education for the National Science Foundation, the head of informal education for the National Science Foundation, the head of oceanography, meteorology, earth sciences, all the directors of the National Science Foundation for these areas. And they said, these are the people around the country that you need to talk to and run them through what you're trying to do in Louisiana. I said, you know, yes, sir, that's what we'll do. And a week later, those people were calling me. I didn't have to call them. I didn't have to call the University of Rhode Island or Washington State or University of Florida. They were calling us because NSF picked up the phone and told them to call us. And if we, I think, here can continue to, you know, to capture that and make sure that all roads lead through us because we work together, we create a critical mass and something meaningful, then, you know, I think we'll be able to harvest all the value out of this. All of that just to introduce the guy. Good at. So I really appreciate how his experience and credibility has opened a lot of doors for us and really guided us well through a lot of this process. They've helped us immensely in our fundraising efforts. And without further ado, I give him the next 3 minutes to tell you everything about what we're doing. Thank you.
I'd like to acknowledge, I mean, when I retired from the Smithsonian, went into business with my wonderful partner, Maria Elena. We were a small firm and decided to work with people we believed in and ideas we had passion for and to be very selective. And I have to say and acknowledge Sammy Falk here, who was one of the first people we met, this hardworking and persistent board member of the National Hurricane Museum and Science Center, and just the character and the commitment and the passion of the people who came up with this idea convinced us this is a group we must work for. That and the alligator meat was, I think, what convinced us. So that's why we're here. We're here because we think this is a terrific idea, and I wish I had thought of it first at the Smithsonian. And the second reason we're here is because we ran into these people, and these people are very persuasive and very charming and very committed, and they want to see this happen, and we will make it happen. So let's take a quick run through the project for those of you who are new to it. First of all, an iconic building. The Smith Group is a large architectural firm, international firm that was engaged to do this. We worked with them at the Smithsonian for many years, and we learned about the fact that hurricanes are not about wind, they're really about water. As you can see, I think this building not only embodies what hurricanes are architecturally, but it will be an iconic Sydney Opera House style piece of architecture that will really be a game changer for Louisiana, and that indeed is what this board had in mind, to do a world-class institution. So the odd thing is, and I'm kind of sorry or exhausted to say this, I've been in the museum business directing museums now for 43 years. And despite that, and the ironic thing is I'm going to ask you right now to erase the word museum from that slide, because this isn't like any other museum you've ever experienced before. This is a new style, a new model of institution that takes full advantage of electronic outreach and digital learning and communication technologies, and is also, as Grace said, a destination nerve center or hub within a learning network that will be, that first word, will make it a national model. You guys don't need to know what this does. It's in your DNA. When you see the word, you kind of jump a little bit. I think you guys have lived with this. And part of the reason we were so impressed when we first came down here is when we asked Sammy, why don't you move? And Sammy said, this is my home. We are resilient, we recover, we survive. And it is that spirit, I think, that becomes the center of this Hurricane Museum. The other thing that this founding group was about was we can't just tolerate these numbers. We have to do something. We have to get better at preparing, better at surviving, better at recovering. we have to be an educational force. And not only an educational force about hurricanes, but about the wetlands and the coastal resources that we have to get smarter about managing and taking care of and restoring and protecting. It's going to be right there on the lake shore, right under that I-10 bridge, and millions of people will look at that and say, we have to stop and see what that place is. So this is one of the very few places I have ever worked in 43 years that can honestly say we're going to save lives and we're going to reduce property damage. This is an investment. This is not a charity. And you guys who live in this place and in the path of hurricanes understand why education and research into hurricanes, into wetlands, into coastal resources is an investment, not a charity. It touches thousands of people. This is one of the things we've discovered. Everybody in this room knows that. It touches technologists, engineers, mathematicians, marine biologists, ecologists. Every kind of scientist works on this subject. It's the perfect story for STEM learning improvement. It's the perfect coalescing story to do a major national educational curriculum around. And we want to be the go-to trusted source on these subjects, a place where we are identified as the place that you go to find out more. World class? Absolutely. I've been around the world developing and working on science centers. I used to think that the Technopolis Center outside of Brussels and the Shanghai Science Center were the best in the world. I've now seen this idea. I've seen what they're doing thematically. I've come to understand about hurricanes as a subject and wetlands and coastal resources as a subject. This is going to be a science center than those. It'll be a place people will come to find out how did they do it. The educational vision, the national educational vision that we're underway with and have been generously funded by local foundations that we cannot yet name, but we have been generally funded by several local foundations to carry this out. We're underway with a national curriculum development program that's really going to impact STEM learning across this country. We take that very seriously. The board takes that very seriously. They want to be an educational force. And we never want to forget that first purpose of this institution that Sammy remembers very well and reminds me of whenever I stray from it. Don't forget to remember the folks whose lives were lost here over the years because of hurricanes. This has to be a place of respectful remembrance. How are we going to earn the word national? We're going to take full advantage of new learning technologies. We're going to be a web-connected, internet-connected, mobile device-connected place. We're going to be the first museum out of the gate that takes full advantage of all these emerging technologies and really becomes a source for creative learning opportunities based on this theme. We're going to create experiences in the museum like you've never seen before, and we'll go through those pretty quickly. And we're going to use that electronic outreach to meet and greet people and serve people who may never ever come to this institution physically. Okay, this starts to clear the room. We need $68 million. Remain seated, please. You know, we need $68 million. We're going to get $68 million. We are highly confident now, having done our first round of cultivation and solicitation. It is going to happen. Get ready to see this as a Louisiana national asset in the near future. We have formed the networks, the private-public networks. They're currently underway. Many people in this room are part of that. We're going to continue to do that, but it will happen. Let's take a quick look inside to see the kinds of things we're talking about. Here you see kids in a simulator driving and flying into the heart of a hurricane while the scientific data and all of the information about the anatomy of a hurricane is delivered. This is the oldest kind of educational method. It's using fear to get kids to remember, okay? It is something we have lost and we need to regain. Technology is going to be at the heart of this. It's a perfect topic to talk about new technologies, predictive technologies, where we've come in tracking and following hurricanes and predicting where they're going. The National Weather Service will relocate from the airport into this building, so kids will see working meteorologists and scientists. They will also meet via electronic means the working scientists from the Water Institute, from LSU, from Tulane, from all the other academic institutions that are sponsoring research around the coast of Louisiana. Here's a surge wall where you can dial up a past storm and get a physical feeling for how big that surge was and how powerful it was. Hurricanes, we find, are these motivational forces of nature that will make science learning relevant to kids. They'll know why they're learning science, why they're learning math, why they're learning engineering, because it touches their life every day. Here's Science on a Sphere. This is a flexible, three-dimensional programming space where you can have the anatomy of a hurricane and follow it from its windstorm origins in Africa all the way to a killer storm in the Gulf of Mexico or on the coast of New York and New Jersey. And it's fully flexible. One of the themes here that makes this a new age museum is it's responsive and changeable. All these exhibits can be changed, can be flexible, can be redone to keep people wanting to come again and again. They're all digitally based, so the same experience can be put online and on web. So while you're experiencing the Science on a Sphere here, actually, you'll experience it virtually through the website and the electronic connections. Preparation is a huge part of the educational message here. How do we better prepare? How do we get communities, families, corporations better prepared for hurricanes, better prepared to survive and respond to them? Here you see kids with a shopping cart grabbing things at the last minute to help survive a hurricane. They take barcodes off of their choices and they find out what they missed, what they didn't get. Walmart told us take batteries off the shelf, they'll be gone, but they also told us the largest selling thing right before a hurricane is Pop-Tarts. Who knew? This is a wetlands, giant wetlands outside the building that you can walk through. It's kind of a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids approach, where you will be small and the wetlands will be big, and you can learn about the micro ecosystem and how it works, all the interconnectedness, what makes a wetlands, why is a wetlands important. You can climb in a boat then and go visit an actual wetlands along the shores of Lake Charles. Football field every hour is lost. A football field every hour is lost. We've got to get the word out. We did a very careful, conservative business plan to make sure we could sustain this institution and operate it after we got the capital money to build it, and we will get the capital money to build it. Once it's built, we will be able to operate it. It's going to generate almost $3 million in taxes. This is not a charity. This is an investment. We're not coming to you with our hand out and begging. We're coming to you and saying, how would you like to get involved in a going operation that's going to be an economic engine and an educational force? Why are we different? We've already talked about this. Forget the word museum. It's not anything like a museum you've ever seen. It's going to be nationwide in its impact. It's an investment, not a charity. And we're going to provide students a new way and a motivational way to learn science. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is a total surprise. I've been raising money for 43 years, and we are in the silent part of this campaign, just building the network, and people are calling us and saying, we want to give money. You know, I know a brush off when I get one. You know, I can go into a corporate headquarters, make a pitch, and I know exactly what they're saying when they say, thank you very much, this is terrific, we'll call you. I know what that means. We're not getting brush-offs. As a matter of fact, last night Citgo called us and said, please come in, we want to hurry up the proposal and get the money flowing to you. We've never had corporate responses like this. These people are committed, they understand it, they get it, they understand the need to improve STEM learning, they're ready to work with us. So thank you to the group that's already helped us. Here's our great board. Okay, here's it. I mean, this is why you should get involved. It's really an important project, but this is not the end of the pitch. I must give you a fair warning. Here comes the pitch, okay? Fair warning. If you believe, as we do, that we can't just stand by and let those numbers stand, that property loss and that life loss. We can't just say, let's not do anything. We have to do something. If you believe, as we do, that this theme of hurricanes and wetlands can motivate kids to want to learn science, to actually want to learn science, and our target is 6th to 8th graders, and any of you who've had a 6th to 8th grader, as I have, understand when kids stop wanting to learn science. It's in 6th grade. We've got to get in there. We got to motivate them. We got to inspire them. They got to come out of 8th grade saying, I want to learn science. And if you believe, as we do, that the second part of that formula to get kids to get turned on to science is they meet working scientists, passionate, involved, intellectual working scientists. Through the Water Institute, LSU, other partners, we're going to get them in touch with those working scientists. And if you believe, as we do, that this will be an economic engine and for Louisiana, for the Gulf, and for the United States, then you have to get involved. All you have to do is agree with those things. And finally, if you believe, as we do, that we can reduce the loss of life and reduce the property damage through better research, better education, better preparation, then you have to get involved. And we know, as you do, that this room, this very room, has the corporations, the individuals, and the networks right here that can make this happen. This is the right idea. It's at the right time. You need the National Hurricane Museum and Science Center, and it needs you right now to get involved and to make this happen. So the pitch tonight is, work with us, engage your networks, open your doors, make this happen. And remember, the real reason you're here tonight is because on June 5th, 2015, we want you to come back to this room, to this very room at 5 o'clock. And we want you to lift a drink and to congratulate yourselves, because on June 5th, we will have completed the fundraising, and we will break ground, and we will start building this great institution together. That's the pitch. Thank you. I was at the Smithsonian for 20 years looking for ways to improve science education, and this is one of those ways. I think hurricanes is a terrific topic and wetlands a terrific topic for kids to learn basic science and math. So we're not going to be your usual museum and science center. We're really going to be committed to national education.
We talk about STEM training opportunities for our young people. This will be one of them. With the number of hurricanes that we've had in the Gulf of Mexico region and the number that Louisiana has experienced, why not have a national center? I mean, already we've done a fantastic World War II museum, which is a national museum in New Orleans, and it's garnered New Orleans and Louisiana a great deal of attention. And so this museum can do the same thing. This museum and science center, and I use those terms because it's not only a museum, it's a science center. So it's going to be STEM oriented in terms of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, so that our young people understand more about the science associated with hurricanes and climate conditions.
The National Hurricane Museum Science Center is a fabulous project for the state of Louisiana and the Gulf Coast. There's over 60,000 travelers on Interstate 10 daily, and for those people to stop in and see the museum, and most of all, it's educational for all the teachers. We've incorporated different universities, even the local McNeese University is involved in it, and it'll be a wonderful education for the students and for our children, grandchildren, and for many years to come. It's an iconic building that people 50 years from now will be remembering how wonderful this building is for our area.
It really affects the quality of life for everybody in Louisiana, but most importantly, Southwest Louisiana. We've got a tremendous explosion of economic development and infrastructure that's coming to Southwest Louisiana, but we can't just pay attention to that kind of infrastructure. We need to focus on the educational, the arts, entertainment, and the overall quality of life in Southwest Louisiana. And a marquee museum of the quality of the kind that we're talking about, that kind of iconic structure on the northeast shore of Lake Charles, is really going to help define Lake Charles into the next decade and beyond.
What will it take to get this project done?
It's going to take the commitment of people all across Southwest Louisiana, and really the Gulf Coast to be able to put together the kind of money necessary to generate the actual beginnings of this project. I think we're looking at $73 million total that we're trying to raise, and we've got many commitments across Southwest Louisiana already, but we're looking for more partners and hope to find some here tonight.
It's going to be an engine for economic impact. We will raise, just in new taxes, $3 million a year out of this kind of activity. So it's really going to have a game-changing influence on Southwest Louisiana, but really all of Louisiana. It's really going to be a magnet destination for everything from tourists to gamblers to who are coming to the casinos and are going to come on over to see this educational institution, as well as serving the regional community.
It's phenomenal. I mean, in terms of where they are already with their fundraising efforts and all of the people that they've made contact with, they're very professionally oriented and very professionally driven. And so I'm excited about the fact that they now have expanded their base beyond Lake Charles and Southwest Louisiana. Now they're going statewide and region-wide, and soon will be nationwide in terms of developing this National Science Center.
It's truly a national facility. Who's involved are some of the best academics and researchers around the country, best scientists around weather prediction and natural disasters, as well as education associations. We're taking what we can do here at the corporate level, at the agency level, at the major science level, and bring it down to STEM education. So for 6th to 8th graders, make sure that our Americans are good at math and science. So it brings in a whole educational stakeholder group, obviously first responders, insurance companies, corporations, and industry that's particularly exposed to these natural disasters.
What's your reaction to everything that you've seen and heard here tonight?
Well, it's exciting for me. I mean, I appreciate the fact that there are, and I'm humbled by the fact that, frankly, there are so many others who are investing their time and their interest in this project. They see that, particularly for the state of Louisiana, it's a great opportunity to continue to leverage the intellectual capital that we have here around these severe weather events, and frankly, to bring in a lot of additional intellectual capital from around the country, particularly related to hurricanes and the science around it, and kind of the mitigation and restoration, recovery, the things that we know very well here, kind of leverage that to a national audience.
If people have questions like more information about the project, what should they do?
Well, our website's a great place to go. It's nhmsc.com. That's National Hurricane Museum and Science Center.com. And hopefully that will prove to be a very informative place for them, and they can always reach out to our staff as well through that site.